Burger.
And welcome back, and we're going to switch into sports as we talk about rugby. On our couch we have the founder of Rugby Belize, Mr. Tony Gillings, and we have two players from the Rugby Association. We have Chris Ramclam to my right and Aaron Moaney on my left. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Welcome to a very, very different segment of Open Your Eyes, because we are both, and well, I'm not going to speak for myself, we are both very new to rugby and what it is. So we're going to learn a lot today about the sport and how it was introduced to Belize. So Tony, tell us about the start of the organization.
Well, I was here in 1981-82 with the British forces, and we knew that the British troops played rugby in Belize, but there was no Belizeans playing rugby. And when I left Belize, I wanted to come back and bring something back to the community, and I wondered what it is I could bring. And I realized a couple of years ago that there was no rugby in Belize. I thought, great, I love rugby, I'm a passionate rugby fan, but they don't play rugby in Belize. So I started the Rugby Belize organisation while I was living in Dublin, and I came back with the forwards and met various people, and in 2014 I launched Rugby Belize. And it's a great sport for this country, for the youth in this country, because it gives them so much more than just playing a sport.
Yeah.
And since then we've grown. We've got 4 teams on the go, 2 very active teams and 2 teams developing.
4 teams.
4 teams.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
we have 2 representatives of the King's Spark Scorpion, right?
Okay.
And where are the other teams located?
Okay, we have Yarborough Rugby Football Club, which is the team we're setting up on the south side of Belize City.
Okay.
Kings Park is for the north side. We have a very active team called the San Pedro Turtles in San Pedro. And we have a team in Orange Walk that we're starting up too.
Okay. And I want to ask these guys, what first got you interested in learning more about rugby?
Well, when I started, I had no clue what rugby was. One of my friends actually introduced me to rugby, and these guys started helping me understanding it, taking the tackles, how to handle tackles, how to give tackles, and going through it, I learned about the brotherhood that we have. It's not only what happens on the field, it's what happens off the field.
Yeah.
So being brothers, not only on the field working together to score and win, but off the field we are also brothers.
Definitely. And did you know anything about rugby before Tony introduced it to Belize? Well,
No, well, not really. Like I said, I had no idea there was a sport called rugby.
Yeah.
One of the players that left already, he introduced me to it.
Okay. And Aaron, tell us about your interest.
Well, I play rugby because it's a physical sport. I've always been waiting for something like this to be played in Belize.
Did you know anything about rugby before?
A little bit. I was more into American football. So I was always into that, so that's why I easily transitioned into it.
Because you like the contact.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we laugh because look at your size. What do they call you on the field?
Iceberger.
Iceberger, all right, because they can't pass you, not even the Titanic, right?
That's right.
Now, Tony, that's the interesting part about rugby. I think we all know football in Belize, and there's some similarities, but it's definitely the more aggressive form of the sport. Can you explain to us the details of playing rugby?
Yeah, there's 2 main differences between rugby and American football and ordinary soccer. Dealing football. Dealing with the differences between American football and rugby, first of all. American football is the American version of rugby. Rugby came first, American football came second. And they changed it up a bit. In American football, you have to wear the padding, the helmet, and everything like that. In rugby, you don't. You don't wear any of that stuff. Your kit is what you see these guys in, apart from a mouth guard and sometimes they have a scrum cap. For some people, they have a scrum cap.
Or you grow your own.
And the reason for that is, in rugby, you are taught how to tackle, because the key part of rugby is the ability to stop a player so somebody else can get the ball. Whereas in American football, because you have all the kit, you think you're invincible, and you watch those games and you see players being picked up and thrown on the ground. None of that is legal in rugby proper. You're taught how to tackle and how to fall and how to get the ball. The other difference is that you can't throw the ball forward in rugby. American football, you see the guy run back and he launches the ball forward. You can't do that in rugby. The ball has to go sideways or backwards. So what that means is that rugby is a whole team The whole team has to work together to get the ball from their end of the field over the try line. And we talk about the physicality of rugby. We have two great examples here of rugby players.
Yeah.
Two different sizes, because in rugby there are forwards and there are backs. Forwards are like these guys, big, they take the tackles, they take the fall, and the backs are the guys that do all the running. They're the guys that they get the ball to and they shoot off down the field and try and get the try.
Yeah.
So it's a whole team sport, and that's one of the great things about the sport. It's the whole team works together.
And the similarities with football?
Basically the tackling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, in the tackling, we take physical and direct hits, while in American football they have the pads to take the damage. We just take it directly. The only padding we have are the thick shirts.
Look at the smile on his face when he says that. So you saw, you get your introduction into rugby. You see that there's no protective gear. You see that it is a physical contact sport. And you still said, I want to play rugby?
Yes, I did. Because I said yes, mostly you don't take hits unless you have the ball.
Okay.
So I'm a runner. So when I get the ball, it's my job to get it across the field without taking hits. And if I do take a hit, these guys back me up.
So Tony, tell us about what the reception has been like, the buy-in from getting youths and other guys involved in the sport here.
Well, it's kind of interesting because last year we did a program and we did the filming in Kings Park, and you saw a group of kids there and they had nothing. They had t-shirts, trainers, and we were splashing around, we were playing rugby. Within the first 6 months of this year, we've had sponsors come on board, which is what these guys are wearing. So, you know, Chonsan Paris, Palace, Mejia's Energy Management, DHL, all these guys have come on board, and Robles, and they're sponsoring the team. So we now have 4 real teams fully kitted out. They have cleats, shorts, socks, jerseys. We've got rugby balls. It's really taken off. The only thing that's limiting us right now is there is no rugby fields.
Yeah.
So we're using soccer fields or we're using patches of grass somewhere to train on. If we had a rugby field, it would be exploding. Because once the youth see what rugby is about, once they can see the tackling, the brotherhood, the teamwork, they really get into it.
What's the size of the rugby field?
Exactly the same size as a soccer field.
Okay.
The only difference is that the rugby posts are infield rather than at the end of the soccer field. Because there's obviously play beyond the posts. So it's the same size. The markings are different on the field, obviously.
And you also play on the beach as well?
We do beach rugby, We had a fantastic beach rugby competition last April. It's back again. We're a 2-day competition in March next year, which is already booked in Key Corker at the Split. And that was great because we had Brits, Americans, Canadians, we had a Fijian coming together to play beach rugby.
Go ahead.
Is rugby, so Aussie rules is rugby, right?
Aussie rules is the Australian version of rugby.
Australia, Now, and I was going to get at that because rugby is very popular.
Yes.
Maybe not in the Caribbean and Central America, but once you go south, definitely Canadians. And if you move beyond this continent, it's also a very common sport. Now, how much have you guys started following rugby now, and teams and players, and really getting into the spirit of the game?
Well, since I just started about a couple months ago,
Yeah.
I'm not following it as fully yet, but we do have socials with the team where we watch gameplays and different games and try to mimic them on the field when we practice.
Well, since I've started, I've been watching a lot of games just to teach myself more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's it like when you watch the professionals playing?
It's something I would like to do myself, at that level.
Yeah.
And what about your favorite teams and favorite players?
Like I said,
He's just starting, His favorite team right now is King Spark Scorpion. Do you?
Well, I like the old-time player, Mr. Lumo, because he's someone like me. Well, I'm like him. It's big, and we just run over people or through people sometimes.
I think you really enjoy your role on this team, don't you?
Yeah.
Tony, tell us about the talent pool that you found. You know, you're establishing one group at Yabra. There is the Kings Park group. What's your analysis of the natural talent that these people possess?
Belizeans have a natural talent for sport.
Yeah.
The young Belize in this country have so much energy, so much enthusiasm, so much talent for sport. No matter where you go in this country, you'll find youth that want to play sport. Our job as people that are into sport is to bring that to the youth and to make sure the facilities are there for them. There are similarities between Belize and Fiji. Now, Fiji are the Olympic gold medalists in the rugby sevens that we play. Fiji is a poor country like Belize. It's a country similar latitude, similar economic situation, and that country thrives on rugby sevens. It's their religion, basically. And you compare the two countries, and you know there are Belizeans here that rugby is designed for them. We just have to get them in and encourage them to join the teams. Fiji is my favourite team. Although the team that I was most associated with was Ulster Rugby in Ireland, Fiji is my favourite team.
Now you can safely say that because you're in Belize, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, for somebody who knows nothing about rugby, what do they need to understand if they're going to watch a game? So we know the ball goes backwards. We've heard that much, right?
Yeah. Sideways or backwards is the only way the ball can move. Although you can kick the ball, but if you kick the ball in rugby, you've got to go get it. It's not, you can't kick it to a player at the end of the other end of the
Oh, it's like playing fetch with yourself. You kick it and catch it.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. What do they need to know? They just need to come out and give it a try.
Yeah.
We are launching a version of rugby called Tag Rugby next month. It's a schools competition, so every school in the country can put together a team of 7 players. They don't need to have any experience at rugby, because in Tag Rugby there's no tackling. What you have is a belt with 2 tags on.
Yeah.
And someone grabs the tag and you have to give up the ball. So it's a way of introducing rugby to school kids. And that's what we want to do. We want to get into schools to show them that rugby is a good sport for kids, because you don't have to tackle. You can do the fun game, just pull off a tag and they've got to give up the ball.
Have you had girls interested in playing rugby at all?
We have one female coach who is a level 1 coach rugby.
Okay.
She used to come out with us. She doesn't do it anymore because of other issues, but girls play rugby. I mean, if you watch a female rugby match, man, they're vicious. They're vicious, and they really enjoy it too. I mean, right now is the Women's World Rugby Cup is going on. So yeah, girls play it for sure.
And you have a tournament coming up.
Well, we have a match on November 18th. It's a return match between the San Pedro Turtles and the Kings Park Scorpions. We went there last month and we beat them, and they're coming here to have a return match, and that's on the same day as the school's tag rugby competition. So it's an opportunity for people to come to the stadium to see a live rugby match, but also to get the kids involved in rugby too.
And how do you keep the different teams motivated? Because I assume that you're associated mostly with the Kings Park Scorpions, and there are 3 other teams. How do you ensure that they're just as excited, that they're practicing, that they're keeping on their game as this team?
Well, in San Pedro, we're fortunate. We have 2 American rugby players who are coaching the San Pedro Turtles. They don't need any kind of coaching from me. Those guys, it's in their blood. They're passionate about it, and they are out every other night with the San Pedro team training. Yarborough, I'm involved in that one. We're trying to build that one. We're working with Wesley High School to try and get that team up and running. And in Orange Walk, last year I spent a lot of time in Orange Walk building a rugby team there. It became a problem with the challenges in terms of fields and facilities, so I've got to go back there and reignite that one. But it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love it. You know, I give all my free time to this. We did a fantastic prison program at the Belize Central Prison not long ago, where we're introducing rugby to the inmates there as well. So, you know, there's talent all over this place. You just got to work hard to get it.
So how many members do we have on Kings Park Scorpion?
As of now, we have 8.
8, okay. And how many actually play on the field at a time?
7.
7, okay, so you have 1 extra person.
Yeah.
And what has it been like for your group to be able to learn to play together and build that camaraderie that most teams need?
Well, it's good to know that you have a team to back you up in any situation, being on or off the field. So building that team and brotherhood, it's more of making a family with people and getting to know people and their situation.
Plenty of beer.
So how do you practice if you have just the exact number of persons?
Well, we usually split up into groups of 4.
Okay.
And then we have like basic tackling and passing, and then sometimes on the weekends we have a game, a small simulation game between the 8 of us.
Okay. And what does your family and friends think of when they come out and see you play the game?
I always think it's violent, but it's a physical sport, but it's not too hard. because whenever they see rugby or think about rugby, they think about the professional level, and that's like the really high level where it's really, really physical. But the version we play is not that level yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When my family and friends usually hear me starting to play rugby, they're like, "Well, you're small." So I play the back position where I run a lot, and these guys take the hits, so I don't get that much hits.
I'm glad Aaron mentioned that because I've seen rugby on TV, and if I try to imagine you all in that setting, it can be. I mean, it really appears to be very aggressive, and that people can get major injuries playing this game.
The version you see mostly on TV, unless you saw the Olympics last year, the version you see is rugby 15. So you've got 15 players on a team and they're playing for 40 odd minutes. We play rugby 7, so there's only 7 players. You play for 7 minutes, you have a 2-minute break, and then you play another 7 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get as many tries as you can within those 7 minutes. Therefore, the versions are slightly different because in rugby 15s there's a lot of slow-paced movement, there's a lot of tackling. In rugby 7s it's more about speed, getting the ball from one end to the other as quickly as possible with the least amount of tackling going on.
Because I just imagine, is it called the scrum when they?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just very scary looking to me.
Well, again, if you're looking at 15s, you've got
I wish you could show Aaron's face on this. He's like, that's what I love.
in rugby 15s, you have 8 people in the scrum. So there's a lot of power and pressure inside there. In rugby 7s, there's only 3 players. And it's over in seconds. So,
So obviously, starting off the tag version is a way to ease people into the sport. For persons like us who are saying, oh, it looks so dangerous. What age group are you aiming to be able to recruit?
It's all age groups. I mean, I have coached 4-year-olds in rugby. You know, right up to, we have a chap that's joined us who's 51. So it's the whole range, really. There's no limit on that. Obviously, you tailor the coaching classes to the age group. And tag rugby is usually used up until about 14. You play tag rugby, and then after that you go into the physical tackling. But the problem I had when I started coaching rugby is the kids don't want to play tag. They want to actually get the physicality. They want to see, because if you say to children about rugby, some of them have seen it and said, yeah, I like that. And they want to do the physical tackling. So you have to hold the back saying, now hold on a second. You've got to learn how to fall first. before you do that.
And I was going to say, technique and the foundational skills are so important. And I think that's what happens sometimes with our sports development programs. We jump right into physical play before teaching the skills. So if someone has a 10-year-old and says, I want to get them involved in a sport, they can contact you and perhaps become a part of the tag team.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they could go to the Facebook page, there's contact details, message me, phone me. My cell number is 635-7339. Contact any of the rugby players that you see going around town. Come in.
And if they want to see it for themselves, when's the practice that people can go take a peep?
We usually practice on Tuesdays, Thursdays, some Fridays and Saturdays.
Okay.
At the Lopez Mateos Park in Kings Park.
And in Yabra?
It's the Yarborough field next door to Wesley.
Okay.
Is there any aspect of the organization that looks at seeing how you could get any of the players to the professional leagues? Because I know that in Belize we don't really have a huge professional sport culture, but I'm sure that when people get join the team, the club, that they would probably potentially want to aspire to that.
Eventually you'll be able to get scholarships through rugby. We're not there yet, but we're working towards that.
Sports scholarships or
sports scholarships, to American and UK universities and colleges. It's something that the regional authority does. It's very popular in the US. But we've actually exported 2 rugby players. We exported one to the UK. Frank Spooner has gone off and he's in Gloucester and he's playing rugby there with a local college while he's doing his studies. And we had another guy who's gone off to Jamaica. Trinidad, So you were saying that rugby is not, actually rugby is very popular in this region. We just don't hear about it enough.
Not in Belize, I guess. We're the only ones left behind.
We're the only country that doesn't have a rugby organisation. I mean, it's huge everywhere else. The Cayman Islands, which is a very small group of islands, actually have a rugby 7s team in the World Series, which is a massive achievement for them. Our neighbours, Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, all have big rugby organisations. So, and I'd like to mention that we are going to have our first international rugby competition against Guatemala next February.
Ooh.
And we're running a raffle at the moment to raise funds to get the team there.
Yeah.
So this is a huge step for rugby in Belize to have an international.
And how will you choose which team goes to play?
Well, that'll be down to a lot of things, right? I mean, attendance.
Yeah, you'll have to do a national team
We
from
have to
everybody.
and I'm hoping to draw the national team from each of the 4 teams we have now and put together a team. Maybe 2. There may be a seniors and a youth team. We're not quite decided yet. So.
And tell us a little bit more about your fundraising efforts, because I know that kits and balls are not expensive, are not cheap.
Well, you can't buy any of this stuff in Belize, that's for sure. But we're very lucky. Our sponsors have provided all the kit for us. They've been fundraising and provided all the kit. But we too have to fundraise, which is why we're having a raffle. And you can get tickets from anywhere at the moment, from us particularly. But next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, we'll be at Brody's and Save You again, selling raffle tickets. They're $5 each, good prizes, and that money is going towards the first international. Otherwise, the funding comes out of donations
And sponsorships.
and sponsorships. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on and letting us know a little bit more about the sport. And as you pointed out, if you're in Belize City or San Pedro, you can actually go out and see the teams practice and get your first encounter with the sport. And most importantly, look forward to November, where there'll be the match and an opportunity to join in on the tag. Tag version of the sport, right?
Okay.
Thank you guys, and you're on Facebook, Rugby Belize.
Rugby Belize on Facebook, yeah, absolutely.
And you can get all the information you need. Thank you for coming in, and best of luck.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up, so stay tuned.